Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for being here this morning. We're going to start the press conference now, and I'd like to bring up two people before I give a few remarks who are going to set the stage, if you will. First, I'd like to introduce Representative Andy Tobin, who's become a good friend of mine. He's my vice chair of the Education Committee, and he's doing an excellent job at that position. I'd like to bring him up first to introduce the co-chair of our campaign.
Good morning. Thanks for being here. It gives me a great pride and appreciation to Representative Anderson that he would involve me in this wonderful day, wonderful event for him and his family in the state of Arizona. And you know, I'm only down here a year, but I think many of you may understand where I'm coming from. If you've ever moved into a new neighborhood, you look for that neighbor who was out there who sent you in the right direction for the automotive, to the doctor, and the best restaurant in town. Or you ever needed even help with a major decision in your life, or especially while you're down here, what legislation is moving one way or another, but not somebody to tell you where to go, just somebody to kind of guide you along the way. If you ever wanted to be here to represent your family and your neighbors and your friends, and who could go back to Washington, D.C. to help represent Arizona, you're here for the right reasons. And we found the right man with the right job description and the right resume. Congressional District 5 will be well represented by Mark Anderson. He's committed so many years to Arizona's children. Now he wants to commit many more years to America's children. He's committed so many years to the future of Arizona and our growth. Now he wants to go back to Washington, D.C. and commit again to America's future and America's growth. More than anything else, he's so committed to his family and Arizona's family. It's just so neat to know that we've got a Mark Anderson who's now committed to America's family. So I'm very proud to endorse this great man, this great Arizonan, about to represent Arizona as our next congressman soon to be elect Mark Anderson. Further comments, I would ask you to welcome with me the Speaker of the Arizona House of Representatives, but at this moment, even more importantly, I'd like to introduce him as the co-chairman for the Anderson for Congress Election Committee, Mr. Speaker Jim Wires.
We all know why we're here, and Mark's an incredible member. I've served with Mark now for 14 years. He's never disappointed me. He had disagreements, but those disagreements have always turned out to a very productive end result. Mark's a person that knows how to get a solution to some very difficult problems. I appreciate Mark, and over the years, even more so. And so I stand with him as he stood with me, showing that there is loyalty and dedication to a person who's done a good job. And I think he can continue to do that job, even a better job in Washington. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I want to thank all of you for being here today, and especially I want to thank my family members, my wife Lucia, my son Ethan, my other son Ned, and his wife Honey. These people have been supporting me for my 13 years here in the legislature, and I'm grateful that they're here today to support me in this new venture. Many things have changed in our beautiful state since 1994 when I was first elected here. It's truly been a privilege to be a part of the progress that we have made as a state over those years. And I especially want to thank Speaker Wires and Majority Leader Boone, Representatives Tobin, Crandall, and the others who are here today. I really appreciate working with them. These are some of the finest people and the most dedicated members of the Arizona legislature. You know, when someone announces their desire to run for public office, the first question they're asked is, why would you do that? And it's not an easy decision. I'm not facing term limits. I'm in a relatively safe district. I could probably be easily reelected in my district. And in many ways, I'm going to miss working here at the legislature. But I have decided to run for Congress for Congressional District 5C. Having served here for 13, now 14 years, I feel I'm in a somewhat unique position to be able to see how state government works and how the federal government, in many ways, especially Congress, doesn't work. Congress has really become dysfunctional. The institution, which was created by our founders to be the instrument through which the national problems were addressed and were solved, has lost its way. It's failing us. And I'll be asking the voters in District 5 to send me back to be an agent of change in Washington. The bottom line is, I have two granddaughters. One is 3, one is 6 months old. And their future is going to be affected by whether or not we can change the tone and the practice of governance in Washington, D.C. That's why I've chosen to run at this time. I've identified 3 main problems that Congress has that are preventing it from successfully dealing with the challenges of our time. First is irresponsible pork-barrel spending and earmarks. Second, scandals and unethical behavior on the part of members of Congress. And third, extreme partisanship. Due to these 3 problems, Congress doesn't work. And why is that a problem? When Congress doesn't work, serious problems that affect real people's lives don't get addressed, like the economy, war, illegal immigration, healthcare, retirement entitlements, the national debt, and many other problems. I'm working on solutions in all 3 of these areas to fix Congress that I'll be proposing. And obviously, due to time today, I'm not going to be going into great detail into those. But I want to stress, first of all, that I believe in America. I believe in the founding principles and the spirit of our country and the people of our country, that we can address these problems and we can solve them and we can get beyond the challenges that we're facing today. You know, changing the way Congress does business may seem somewhat idealistic, somewhat impractical, or impossible even. But here's why I think it can be done. Because the timing is right. You know, people are looking for change. Voters are tired of the negative, the partisan, and the never-ending campaigns. They want leaders who can reach across the aisle, can work together to make progress on these tough issues, and not just spout rhetoric and criticize others. And that's precisely what I've been doing for the last 13 years here at the Capitol. I've been effective at passing conservative legislation that has made a difference. For example, I was the prime sponsor of the tuition tax credit bill back in 1997 that's now allowed literally thousands of young people to be able to go to the school of their choice that they couldn't afford to go to before. I was the author of the legislation that created our abstinence until marriage program, which has reduced the teen birth rate in Arizona in spite of our growing population. I was the prime sponsor of legislation mandating filters that protect children from pornography on the internet in public schools and libraries. I created the charity tax credit to allow citizens to control their tax dollars going to nonprofit organizations helping the working poor. I put the federal charitable choice language into our state statute, which prevents the state from discriminating against faith-based organizations when we contract for services. And I created a prison transition program that has resulted in a lower recidivism rate and savings to the state at the same time. In addition, I have a 100% pro-life voting record. I have an A rating from the NRA. I've been a friend of the taxpayer and received the Small Business Champion Award from the NFIB. So these are the reasons why I think I can make a difference in Washington. I enjoy taking these conservative principles and ideas, turning them into public policy which benefit the citizens of our state and nation. I'm essentially running on my record of effectiveness. And as you all know, there are a few other folks running in the primary who are all good people, and they're all good friends of mine. And I'm not going to say anything negative about any of the other Republican challengers. In fact, I believe that negative campaigns do not respect the voters. And that is why I'm going to conclude my comments today by signing the Respect for Voters Pledge. And you are receiving a copy of it. I'd like to read it to you. It's very brief. It says, Arizona voters are looking for ethical, honest behavior in candidates for public office. They are tired of the politics of personal destruction. Voters deserve respect from the candidates. Voters would be better served by campaigns that primarily focus on the policies, proposals, and attributes of their candidate, rather than generating disparaging information about other candidates. Therefore, in order to motivate voters to reconnect with political campaigns in a positive way, The following pledge will be signed and adhered to. As a candidate for Congress in Congressional District 5, I pledge I will focus my campaign on my policies and my proposals rather than disparaging the character or background of other candidates. I will be truthful and honest at all times. I will refrain from personal attacks on other candidates. I will respond to any personal attacks by setting the record straight without the reciprocation of personal attacks. And I will maintain a positive tone and respect the intelligence of the voters.